so.
Hi, my name is John Casali. I've been running the Eel River cleanup for the last 5 years. We're at 300,000 pounds of trash in our little community. So I'm not going to say a whole lot because I have pictures, but I'm done cleaning up. I want to hand over the Eel River cleanup to the homeless, the people that are giving the homeless the bags, the homeless activists, that they want to clean up after the people they give the stuff to. I'm no longer going to pick up your trash, and I'm not going to say a whole lot more than that, but at the last meeting, we had a young lady here who promised she wanted, because the meeting was about respect. That's what this is all about. So they said, well, give us a chance, give us a chance. So from August 25th to September 25th, we spent $3,700 cleaning every camp from Sproul Creek to Dean Creek. So when we come to that meeting, there should be nothing in those woods. So for 14 days, we made an agreement. I would take pictures, the homeless or the transients would clean up their mess. This is what I have found. This is what I have found in 14 days. Feces in the river, over 9 piles in one area.
I'm sorry, John, can people please shut their cell phones off? It's going to be very distracting to us.
Another camera.
People are drinking this water. There's 2 porta potties 200 yards from this feces and this feces here. Nobody in the world is allowed to do this. It doesn't make no difference if you have a bad childhood or what.
That's right.
Nobody in the world is allowed to do this. That's all I have to say. And I'll be passing over the Eel River cleanup. I will never pick up one more bag of garbage. We've picked up 7,500 bags of garbage. 300,000 pounds. Unheard of anywhere that I've ever lived in my whole life. And of course I feel like I feel. People are shitting in my drinking water. So if anybody here thinks that that's okay, just raise their hand. But people are doing this. That's all I have to say. So if I was you guys, I would get somebody in charge of your group to clean up after yourselves, because I no longer will be doing it. Thank you.
Sorry.
Go through the outline a little bit, or read the outline, and then we'll get to the speakers.
Yeah, it's just so people don't get too frightened. We're starting to organize what we call a clean camp cruise. And the idea behind these will be the same idea that John has, except we'll be doing this as a service, not as something you pay for. I have a handful of people that now are doing it. We went down by the river bar, we got some stuff. We tend to do it in a special way because it's a recycling crew as well, so we're looking to recycle everything that we get and then have the trash throw it away.
Yeah.
So I think if we, or I think the appeal to the, I'm not going to go long on this, but I'm finding a really good appeal from the transient people from our nomads. And my idea behind this, and the idea is this: we already put in for the button that says community volunteer on. That we find people who are really eager to be in this kind of mode, who really wanted to keep their camps clean, and some of them are very aggressive about it. We give them a button to show when they go into town that you've got someone you can trust, at least the level that you know that they're conscious of what they're doing and why they're here. So we begin to, I don't try to say that people aren't wearing the buttons to be bad people, but it would be better for us if we could see a friendly, a transient person you've never saw before, but he's got the little CV on his, and you can figure, well, we can all play Paul, so that it just comes out bad. So this is the plan, and I hope it works. Because this is the plan, taking the inspiration from John, what he's done, and getting our focus property onto what we should be focusing on. We'll see if we can do it with service rather than the other way around.
Okay, real quickly, somebody lent me his glasses last time around, I'm not seeing it.
Red ones.
That's why I love this county.
All right, we're going to continue to pass the speaking list around. But for those of you who don't have the sheet, I'm going to read it off as the perceived problems. And this is, again, just a summary. There's probably others. But the perceived problems are the style of discourse, variously termed lack of respect, demands, etc. Number 2, safety. 1, women, children, elders feel unsafe. 2, dogs without leashes, dogs scare people. 3, drugs, alcohol. 4, trash. 5, feces. 6, numbers, strain on resources, also lack of resources, local, county, state. 7, lack of public space, housing. And number 8, panhandling. We brainstormed some solutions, or at least some solutions came out, and Paul pulled this, a list of about 8 items out. 1, compassion, give respect, get respect, compassion patrol, also applicable to the safety issues below, mental health center, beginning agreement, transients are here for whatever reasons are here to stay, no services will not stop the flow, must agree to manage, not get rid of problem, then answers, or endless conflict. I'm not sure what that means, but we can figure it out. Number 2, neighborhood watch, people take responsibility for themselves, homeless help homeless, etc. Code of conduct, education, festival security is a model. 3, warn people of crimes, the drugs and alcohol are crimes, use police. 4, education, work together, self-help. 5, porta potty, public bathrooms, also talk with Betty Chin, shower possibility as well. 6, networking, better communication, including with state, local, and county, sharing, gift, reciprocity, self-help, barter, identify available resources, provide minimal resources. 7, campground shelter, adopt a homeless person, have public spaces community. And 8, community script tokens, SF model, I believe that's referring to a card that's passed out that lists services that are available in lieu of cash for panhandling. And these were just ideas that were brought up, and we were hoping possibly to expand and move on them. But this, the crowd tonight is actually a little bit larger than last time, so we'll see how this works. I am going to start up with the list, and if you did speak last time, if you can let me know so we can maybe move you to the back of the list until others have had a chance. I'm not going to remember, I might remember you, but I'm not going to call you on it. If you really need to say something, I'll let you go ahead and do it. We will start with Sean Holman. And if you can come up here, and although the camera's over there, the bulk of people over here, if you can try to do your best to address to everybody, because people on the far end of the room may have a hard time hearing otherwise. Sean Holman?
Hi, my name's Sean.
No, can you come up to the microphone? This is being recorded, and I'm assuming that like the last meeting, it will be available on the KMUD website. Yeah, over here actually would be best. That way you can kind of address everybody.
Hi, my name's Sean. I work 7 days a week pretty much, and I noticed that housing, it's not really the fact that there isn't renting. There's not enough built for everybody to live in. But it would be nice if we could get better camping things for people who do work. I mean, there's no resources for showers and stuff. I work 6 days a week. I only get that 1 day, and it's hard to go to Eureka for a shower. No car. You know, I'll help clean up myself as a presentable thing for your city to work hard and pay taxes, but I have to have help too.
Yes.
Okay, and the next person on the list is Babette.
I spoke last week.
You did, okay, I'll get back to you then.
Babette K. I don't want to speak for, we have another Babette.
Babette K,
Okay,
yes, that's right. I think this says Lost Dog?
Yeah, Lost Dog, where are you? There he is.
yeah, we will give everybody 3 minutes.
Well, he's the one right after me, he's reading right after I have to say I don't read well in public.
Is he West School?
Yes.
The third? Okay.
Yes.
That's not allowed, it's not amplification.
What's it for?
Recording.
My name's Lost. I grew up in this neighborhood. I have a mother, a son, and a wife buried in this cemetery. Yes, I am homeless. I'm dying of cancer. Can't get health care because one time I got caught selling a 5-bag. I live here. I grew up here. I went to school in Leggett. Hamilton knows me. Everybody that lives here on the streets knows me. I give you my word. If you read what or hear what my friend reads, I promise me and my friends will stand right next to it. And a lot of these problems, I don't know about housing, don't know about showers. I never asked nobody for nothing other than work, and I take care of myself. I grew up here. I'm telling you, if you guys really want problems to stop, the trash, this, that, you ask John about me. I am his friend. I will help clean up this area and make sure, as long as we're allowed within reason, as long as we're not being outside of reason, to make sure that things are taken care of. Because who better can police what's going on when the police won't go in the woods at dark? We live there. I don't know, I'm not insulting anybody, but I'm tired of hearing about my friends getting threatened with baseball bats. I'm tired of hearing about my community being threatened with violence when we all live under the same God. We all hopefully serve the same king. Why is there got to be this violence when everybody can grab a trash bag and stand right next to me? Here's what my friend has to say.
Pick it up.
And we all wrote this. Everybody that hangs out in the park that you yell out, go home, vagrants, this, that, we got signatures. This was all written, read, and agreed by everybody that you all yell at and call names at.
Yep. Well, my name is Wesley, and I'll be speaking on behalf of Lost. In these desperate times, despite our frustrations, I do believe we have a solution. Through peaceful local efforts, we can self-regulate and remove the people who are giving this community a bad name. Anyone caught littering using public areas as a personal toilets will be first to go. It has been noticed in this community that many people can't come in from out of the area as a nuisance, though this is not completely true. Yes, there are many people that pass through, and most don't care about the community effort to keep this beautiful area clean and safe. However, there's a small yet local collection of individuals who care more than most. And if given the chance, we can, as a whole, peacefully clean up the community.
My name is Blake Lehman, and I'm a business owner in town. Parents have owned businesses in this town. My brother does. I do. It has gotten so bad behind my office where people come, they shit, they let their dogs back there, they trash my property. I can't let my own kids get out of their car, out of my car, and play on property that their grandparents bought and that their parents and aunts and uncles try to keep clean. It's gotten so bad. I left the poop shovel out one night and it was gone. You can't, if you don't lock up every single thing in this town, it's gone. There's dogs running around, it's filthy, it's nasty. I had friends come from Reno. I mean, is there any place worse in this world than Reno? They came here and stayed 2 days, they were gonna stay 5, and then we're leaving this shithole. Are you kidding? I mean, we live in a place where people pride themselves on being environmentally sensitive, and we let this happen. I mean, this place is trashed. The people who have spoken before me, you guys spoke pretty eloquently, and I'll believe it when I see it, because right now, I don't see it. This place is a dump, and it was never like that before. The churches, the post office, the grocery stores, they've all fenced their property because they're tired of cleaning it up, they're tired of seeing their stuff walk out their front door without being paid for. I mean, I'm gonna have to gate our alley, which is that main alley in town, which is gonna be no delivery trucks to those businesses back there, nobody driving through there anymore, nobody walking through there anymore, just to keep it clean. It's absolutely disgusting. And when I catch people crapping back there and littering back there, what do I get? An F you. And then I have to call the sheriff and have them. We've got better things to spend our money on than chasing these people around town. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, Paul Ensimer and Jim Truitt want this park down in town. Well, I've got a better idea. Send it to Paul Ensimer's house at the top of Peckerwood Springs Road. Or Jim Truitt's house at the end of Cedar Lane. Let them clean up for a while. Let them clean up and,
Let's not be personal with it.
you know what? That's where I'm going. I also have a question.
Need to be personal.
I also have a question. The Veterans for Peace organization, do you have to be a veteran to belong to the Veterans of Peace? Because I think that's hiding behind somebody. Because veterans deserve our respect. They fought for this country and they deserve our respect. But when people hide behind that name, that really pisses me off.
30 seconds.
Sir, I
You know, and I have one more thing to say. That the people before me said that the guy said that he works 6 and 7 days a week. Well, if he works 6 or 7 days a week, he ought to have enough money to go buy a campground in a legitimate campsite and take a shower. Also, I guess I'm done, but if this town's gonna be clean, there's only one way it's gonna happen. If we're gonna do it, because Southern Humboldt people have taken care of themselves for years, we're still gonna have to do it, and this trash in our community's gotta stop.
All right.
Now, is it okay if we wait around? Okay, thanks. Then the next person is Sharif Porter.
Tell them about human rights.
Well, this is not a new problem, not at all. It's amazing how I have been at affordable housing meetings. I remember when there was a proposal on the table for Redwood Village. And Redwood Gym was filled to the hilt with people who didn't want that project to happen. The first model of affordable housing in our community. And who lives there? You have to pay $800 a month for living there. A lot of the children in Redwood School live there. You have families that live there. You have people who are the backbone of this community. You almost have to be lower middle class to live there. Now, it's interesting. We talk about the feces. Well, last I knew, every single one of us who's alive has to go to the bathroom. That's a basic. Even I do when I come to shop here. You're not on the heels, or you're a tourist. This isn't a friendly I'm sorry. The only time you don't have to go to the bathroom is when you're dead. And I'm sorry, that's what seems to happen. No one talks about the deaths of the homeless people. Nobody wants to talk about that. But if you talk to people like who really work the homeless problem, they'll tell you it's a high rate of deaths and suicide. You know? And Betty Chin worked on the shower when she put up her money for St. Vincent de Paul. She said, I don't want a bathroom. I want a restroom. I want to create a place where people will be treated with dignity because she was homeless as a child. And it's funny, she's recognized by our President of the United States. She's recognized by different service clubs are behind what she's doing. And I think, that's a model for us. Truthfully, there's a problem. Building restrooms, yes. Affordable housing, better. Because I think there's a problem if you look at where the houses are. Want to talk property value? Okay. There's always been concern about property value and the property value is going down. Well, you have a lot of homes in this area and nobody's living there. You also have a lot of people whose children have grown up and they're still living in their family 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom home. So where are the families raising their kids? They're raising them in places like Phillipsville Trailer Park. Is that okay for a substandard trailer that maybe should even be condemned to have a family growing up there because there's no other choice? The majority of the kids, I think, that are moving into this area are growing up in trailer parks like that. There's no place to play. You look at Melody Trailer Park, too, right across the street. I don't know about you, but I visited some of those kids when I worked at Redwood School, and I was just amazed. There's not even room for furniture. It's like wall-to-wall children sleeping on the floor. And those are the kids who are going to school with your kids. And I don't think that's okay. I'm sorry. I think we need to do more in this land.
in Redway, which used to be the old bookstore, has seen a marked improvement since the last meeting. It was like a breath of fresh air going to work. And before that meeting, I was to the point of hiring private security because people were coming into my store and saying, "Man, I wanted to go in there, but there were just too many people out front." Or I couldn't find the sidewalk, or I didn't want to go through the dogs, A lot of trash. I was really angry last week. I commend whoever helped out with the street people, but it is night and day. Totally different. I am hopeful, of course. Everybody needs hope, or there's no use in being lost. But I remain cautiously optimistic. I don't know how long it's going to last. I think the main drifters are drifting through. I don't see the people with the backpacks quite as often. And the local people without homes, I know a lot of them by name. I hire some of them when I need help. I give them socks when they need socks. They always pay me back. If they come in and need them and they don't have the money, fine, bring it when you can. I'm a secondhand store. I'm not making a great living, but I've been there a year and it's doing okay. But like I say, I'm cautiously optimistic. And I do feel like some mutual respect was gained since the last meeting.
Clark? Stephen? Two. You know what? Okay. Duke Maynard? Okay. Richard Scotty?
Well, I didn't really realize that was the list to speak. I thought it was a head count.
All right.
This is a really compassionate community and a very passionate community about whatever we decide to prop up for. The poop's not good, the pee's not good, I think we all know. And just complaining about this stuff, we're at the point where we know what the problems are. We need to start coming up with issues, so I don't want to sit up here and go, I'm tired of a couple of vehicles. If you look under these vehicles, they are dropping a tremendous amount of oil and transmission fluid. There's a couple of guys I've been watching around town. I clean up the church and the post office across the street from my house. It has changed a little bit in the last couple of weeks, I have noticed. So there must be something going on. The other side of all of this, and us being here meeting, it kind of crossed my mind this morning. How many other communities are dealing with this situation as compassionately as we are? I don't see any other communities doing it. I see other communities saying, run the hell out of town. So, without calling them homeless and transients, people without addresses is what I've started calling them, PWAs. So, I almost feel like I'm being forced to deal with what you've put on our tables, and it's almost unfair in a way that somebody should come and redo my shower, and I promise I'll take care of it if someone does. The other side of that is, we all come here because we like it here. We do things to make it good. We get jobs, we find places to rent, we find places to take showers. If you're working 6 days a week, take one of those days. I do the same thing with my revenue from the shop. I don't make a bunch of money, otherwise I'd be retired. Take a little money and know that you got to use a little bit to go to Dean Creek this week and stay in a campground and get your shower at least once a week. That's a start. We do have Dean Creek. Do I feel we should build stuff for people? I don't know about that. I like building for our people that are already here, and our community members are struggling just to make house payments right now because of this recession we're in. There's a ton of people, just our friends and neighbors who already have places, who are losing their houses. We're all crying. We're all under stress. How much more can we put on our shoulders? I want to take care of my neighbors first. I do take care of my neighbors. Every week, I do volunteerism. I'm not even going to say what it is. I don't care. I don't want anybody giving me props for it. I do it because it makes my community a better place. And I feel really good about it anyway. So I do it whether the community notices or not. I do it because it gives me a buzz to keep our community nicer. There's places for everyone here. There aren't a lot of houses, you guys. If you come to a community that doesn't have a lot of houses, you gotta move to a place that has more houses. Sorry, thank you.
Okay, Charlotte.
Hi, everybody. I'm Charlotte. I own Garberville, and I see it's intimidating sometimes coming up the stairs and walking out of my doorway and seeing a gang of usually guys with backpacks. It's extremely intimidating. I've heard throughout the whole summer that tourists have left. They're never coming back here. They're my bread and butter all summer long. Years ago, I read a book called Ecotopia, and maybe the county can find an acre of land, and the homeless can, or whatever you want to call them, people without addresses, can, that's great, could actually upkeep their own place. Build their own, I'm going to call it for whatever, say, barracks, cots, enclosed. They could just create their own place. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting stone-faced.
I just did that once because Jews.
Well, I'm Jewish also, okay, so, I'm just trying to help find a solution so that they're not kind of hovering around town, and some kind of public bathroom is an absolute necessity. Whether it be for somebody without an address or a tourist or whatever. Thank you. That is an absolute bare necessity, so that they're not, going to the bathroom in the alleyway or in front of my store or peeing there or in the parking lot or wherever. That's like bare absolute necessity.
If we had some place to go, we would use it.
So instead you feel
Let's wait. All right. Sorry, thank you, Charlotte. It looks like Jeffrey
Dupree.
Come on.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Dupree, and I know most of you probably don't even really know me, even though I've been here for about 13 and a half years. I have been taken out working. I have had a place for most of the time that I've been here, so I haven't been out on the streets. But I do know for the last 2 years, I haven't been caretaking any property, so I'm kind of like in between jobs. But I do live in my van. I am a disabled vet. I spend most of my time in my van. I don't bother people. I give everybody full respect. But yet I am harassed and treated like garbage because I'm a poor person on disability because I am disabled from the vet, from being in the military. I hurt my back when I was in the military at 17 years old. I'm 52 years old now, and my back kills me. I have a hard time just standing here. And I park in the middle of town to where I have easy access to either a bathroom, place to eat, and I don't bother nobody. But yet I have been harassed and told to move along and treated like a piece of garbage, like I don't even belong here. And I don't think that's fair to me. Not for somebody that took put their life on the line, their health on the line, and now what do I get for it?
That's right.
Now, this is all I got to say.
If anybody else would like to speak, if you could just come up, I'll put you on the list, but we've got Bob Froelich. Right there.
electronically to the audio from the last meeting. We do have that on the KLED website, kled.org, under the news, and advocacy issues. And if you weren't at the last meeting, you could hear the whole audio. Incredibly articulate expression of a lot of people's feelings, just like we hear. Eventually, that's got to go somewhere. I mean, we'll have a chance to air our sides of it. And that's good, because you need to get that out. You've heard, feeling like you're not heard is a real hopeless place to be. So this is good that this is happening, even though there's two real strong sides here, or probably a number of real strong sides. But take a listen to what's happening here. Just since I've been here, we had, was it Patty Rose? Came up and said, look, something has changed. Something has changed since last time. Something has happened. Okay? What's your first name? Blake. Blake came up and said, look, my place is still trash. Lost Dog said, and the people that signed that proclamation said, we're here, we're willing to do some work and to take care of this issue. Okay? You folks, go clean up Blake's place. Get together with him. He'll become a believer. He'll become a believer. Okay? That's the way you can talk about it, but until actually something happens, get some people to be confident that there will be some responsibility and change. You know, we're going to have the same old struggle, the same old fight. So, you know, even those old hobo camps of old had their rules. You know, they had they had social pressure. There are leaders among the houseless population here, or potential leaders, and you have to get together. You have to get together with people that own businesses. You have to get together with people that live in town. You have to get together with vets in the park and for the working group. You know? It's got to be representation from all those folks. And once you get past the yelling and the hard feelings and try to figure out a way to make this work, it's one of the reasons I moved to this community. I'm retired. I could have moved anywhere, actually. Okay? And one of the reasons I moved to this community because I thought that if these problems were going to be solved
at a place that I love to be, and there's an ice cream shop down the road, and I want to take my 9-year-old son there, and I can't because there's people standing outside smoking pot in a circle, not concerned about who or what's walking down the street towards them. They're oblivious to who's walking towards them. And when I'm outside on my break from where I work and I see an older couple, tourists, coming down the street, if I can see them from 4 blocks away, it's not really a block, it's the bootleg to the clock tower, a lady with an oxygen tank have to go out into the street because I'm not going to call you homeless because you're just people. My husband's his tatted out his lost dog right there, except for his face. All right? So, I mean, my children know the real world. They do. But why can't you have compassion for that older couple or the small children that want to come and have an ice cream in the middle of the day? That's all I'm asking for. And people say that we profile how he looks or you look or you. I've been profiled on a daily basis because I am at work early and I have my coffee and I have my cigarette. And I've gone off several times and lately I haven't been approached because I've asked the person I've gone off on to please remember my face and don't ask me again. It's hard to keep the lights on and the rent paid and gas in the gas tank and food in the refrigerator for the family that I'm trying to take care of. I work hard. I'm blessed. I apologize for how your lives are. But it's just, be aware of your surroundings. I'm not asking you to get out. I'm asking you to be aware of your surroundings. That's what I'm asking from you.
Okay, for Beta?
I'm disgusted. And I can hear all this feel good, we're such a compassionate community and all this stuff. But I hear what this community says, what is compassion and all this shit, complaining about shit when they won't have a bathroom. That's not compassionate, that's not working things out. None of you can go a whole day and night. And in fact, maybe you should try it and see if somebody has compassion for you and maybe 2 days later lets you go to the bathroom. Or like says, hey, you can't do that anywhere, or we'll stick these guys on you. We'll stick these guys that are armed and that hunt people. They hunt people where they're sleeping. It is a joke.
We're getting
No. Anyway, that's what they do. They spend a lot of time finding swimming gangs in the sheriff's department.
Sit down, John. Sit down, John.
Let her speak.
Sit down, John.
You had your time.
Sit down, John.
Let her speak.
Let her speak.
Let her speak.
We all agreed not to get personal.
All right, we're ready to
We all agreed not to get personal.
I hope somebody file a very formal thing called a public records request on the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department. I have a lawsuit, I'm in a federal lawsuit, you want to talk about formal and not personal, against the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department in the city of Arcata for human rights, civil rights violation. We did a public records request where we said we want to know from May of 2006 to May of now, till now, what you have, your policies, your practices regarding homeless people, houseless people, people sitting on a sidewalk, people you consider transient, people on property. And you know what they said? We don't have anything. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? They don't have anything. So where do people go? You can't even write these formal things and have them tell the truth. But they're going to put this, you all have this forum. I get extra minute, right? You have this forum to keep complaining about crap. And like, none of you can handle it. And this community, I'm sorry, this is a privileged community. I don't know what y'all are talking about, like everybody's so hurting. When somebody doesn't have a place to go to the bathroom, that's an issue right then and there. That's not something you can have 20 meetings about saying, well, we got a little bit more compassionate. That's something that needs to happen. And, you know, if you deny somebody their most basic human functions, sleep, poop, piss, then you're in trouble. You're denying your own humanity. You're denying other people's humanity. So y'all can laugh and you can go back home tonight and talk about the garbage that somebody left because churches aren't open anymore for people to go in, to sleep in, to eat in. Nothing. So, I mean, think about that. Think about the fact that every door is closed and you all are complaining about garbage. That's trash.
who did speak the last meeting would like to.
Just a little update. You know, I did speak at the last meeting, and things got a little bit better. I had one local guy, I don't see him here, his name is Travis, who came down and helped me sweep out the laundromat. He showed up a couple mornings, and, you know, a couple breakfast bars and stuff for some sweeping. It was great. He showed up a couple times and then didn't show up, but it was very helpful. I don't know.
My name's Lost.
Lost. Yeah, I see it at the park every day, and
You see me everywhere. I don't
why
know.
did the meetings have to make you guys decide
I
to start
came
picking up? I don't
because-
understand.
If you want to choose to speak.
Also, no matter how bad I have to go to the bathroom, I will never, ever, I promise all of you in this room, everywhere in the county, ever shit on the sidewalk, ever.
Kathy Anderson.
I know, I did see it.
We did watch
Kathy Anderson. I've lived in this county for, about 35 years. I came here from San Francisco with hippies from Haight-Ashbury. So I came as somebody who was an enemy around here. I was the bad guy around here, that woman. We came up with our long hair and our vans and our buses, and we had a different way of life. We had a way of life that was a little more caring about each other. We had a way of life where people policed each other rather than having uniforms, walking around with guns, intimidating homeless people. There's a police officer and they carry a machete, goes out to the bushes and whacks people with his machete. We got the machete away from him, but he's still on duty. But I want to tell you that this is not a personal issue. This is a civil rights issue. You do not own this town.
No, that's right.
Nobody owns this town. Nobody owns this earth. Everybody was born on this planet. Everybody needs
Born in
shelter.
this town.
Everybody needs a place to pee. Everybody needs safety, security, health care, and knowing that there are people around them that will look out for them and, watch their back against people who want to come in with baseball bats. I heard rumors about there being a map. Being able, sending people out with baseball bats to whack the homeless out of town. There's even a quote in a paper that the sheriff, one of the officers, said, yeah, what we do is we run them out of here. That's our job. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what business owners and property owners want us to do. You guys don't own anything else. It's all all whether you like it or not. You have to deal with people that don't look like you, don't act like you, don't do what you want to do, don't do what you like them to do. But we all have to get along somehow. If we don't, we're going to end up in a war. Right here among our own people.
If we want to make it this, we can do this. I mean, we can just continue to have one side or the other shouting at each other, pointing fingers and calling names. We did want to try to bring this towards solutions, and I'm afraid, as far as I'm concerned, the majority of the speakers on both sides are just going to aggravate the situation and make it worse.
May I say one tiny thing, please?
That's democracy, though.
All right,
Yeah.
that's fine, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you do.
I give up a night to be with my kids at the science fair at CR. To do this.
Oh,
Boo. Okay, Andrew Shine. Andrew.
On Andy.
Hello, my name is Andrew Scheid. It doesn't really matter how long I live here.
Not only for recording.
Oh, well, on the record in my life, I tell the truth. I'm a bad liar. I don't tell good lies. Now, I'll tell you this. When I lived in this town and I came here, I saw very, really kind people. And I wanted to say, this door used to be open here 10 years ago when that thing over there, excuse my language, when there was like a natural thing, like a slide or anything that came here. And this place was open. A lot of homeless people didn't, they didn't use it. And I just say, I hold this man's leg right here because it caused me a whole lot just being a friend in the community. And I've done a lot of things in my life. And I'd like to apologize to everyone here in this room because I believe in certain things that healing, and we can work through this. And if I hold this thing, I just say, my name is Andy, I don't know what to say, but thank you.
Deborah?
Carrie?
Deborah Carey.
You can hear me from here? I was thinking about this problem, and I'm really happy that you're here because I love this community. And I was talking to Mike Downing about this problem, and there's nothing new. There's no new problems. They've been homeless here, we've had transients here, we've had people trimming weed here, we've had dog issues here. There are no new problems in this community, just the way that we're dealing with this. And we're not dealing. I don't care that there's crap. It's your own fault because I put a porta potty in and you all took it out.
Okay, break the meeting up.
Let her speak! Let her speak!
That's bullshit!
That is bullshit! She got her time?
Arrest me, I live here.
Everybody else got their time?
That's
bullshit!
There is a big
They got their time? Bad facilitation!
I'm not gonna stay here.
Everybody else got their time?
Yeah, go back to your home.
What the hell?
In your toilets. Nothing to change.
What the hell? They let everybody else speak one voice. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Excuse me, we don't come in here and disrupt people talking is progress.
People saying eat shit is not progress.
Well, I'm just saying.
That's Really? Let everybody else have their time? Oh my God, they're rude.
Shame! Go play with your kids. Let's have our meeting. No, this is real life for some of us. This isn't just go play facilitator.
All right. We will continue, we require us to continue, but this is not, we are not getting anywhere here. This is not productive.
We gotta listen to people say these people and all this shit. We gotta listen to that, but you can't handle somebody saying the truth.
It is not a
These
process,
people-
you're not letting it to be part of the solution. You want to put your name and number, you want a solution.
Some of us are still here. I noticed that there's still some here. What we probably should have done was broken this into, we had a meeting last time. Everybody had a chance to vent
And
last
people said
time.
disgusting things. I heard it on the radio.
Yeah, I understand, but it's this, all we're doing is escalating. It's just getting more and more intense, and the person is right, it is really my goal.
That's how people react to each other,
That's
right?
fine, call the meeting's over.
That's how people express themselves. You have no authority. The meeting is not over.
Excuse me.
Order in the community. Leave if you want, but I don't think everyone should just take it.
I'm not going to try to scream over everybody. We can still try to preserve an attempt here to open a dialogue. But we cannot be pointing fingers.
We will hear Deborah! We will hear Deborah!
Hey, everybody calm down! Just calm down.
There are still some people here, excuse me, from the community that want to address this and try to bring solutions. We're going to have to change the work on it.
You guys understand, why don't you have a seat? Yeah, have a seat. Everyone sit down. Have a seat. If you want to stay, why don't you have a seat?
Anybody who wants to say, please sit down. If you want to leave. Excuse me, I lose my voice. All right. Clearly, this is not working. This is not a discussion. This is not about solutions. And quite frankly, I'm not blaming one side or the other here. This is not working. And, I'm sorry I kind of broke in there, but we were just going on a downward spiral. It is not going to get
Tell me exactly why you don't think this is working. What is it?
Because we're going in circles over and over. People call it, it was the eat shit comment, quite
It's
frankly.
more like somebody giving.
That was bad.
But that was the last straw. Before that, we have people offering real solutions, and then we've got people willing to point fingers, and making accusations, some of them.
But you're talking about real life.
Yes.
People don't point fingers, they get arrested and beat up and stuff.
I
And when
understand.
people are upset about that, that's reality, that's how you get it through. Because people can stand here all quiet and calm and civilized
That's fine. If you want
and
to
say
organize,
those people.
if you want to organize a political meeting,
No,
to
this
deal
is a
with
meeting,
issues,
this is a political
not-
meeting, Eric.
This is not for you to basically seize it for your own agenda.
It's
This
all
is
agenda, it's a human agenda.
Sir, there are business people here that know I hold nothing but respect for them.
We had a sheet, we were hoping to work it out, a lot of people showed up who did not get a chance to speak before. We have to change this format because what's that? Yes. They were distilled from the last meeting.
You all cut Deborah Carey off, that's disgusting. She doesn't get paid to do what she does.
No, Deb Carey is not.
She doesn't love her
We're trying to salvage something here, so let's just stick with it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. We're trying to salvage something here. I'm really glad that Blake is here. I'm really glad that there are some people who want to keep this going. But we do need to bring this back into some type of constructive discussion. We've done plenty of screaming. Everybody has heard the problems. We know what the problems are. Everybody knows it. Okay, just a minute. We're going to get to that. Everybody knows what the problems are. Maybe we need to not just keep rehashing it.
But you can call homeless people a problem, but you can't call them.
Hey! You're reading it. You don't even
No, it's Bruce Wayne, you're right. I think we're
My name is Holly Ann, and I'm new to this area. And frankly, this sickens me. I come from a big city, okay? I come from Chicago, Illinois. I came here thinking that you guys all cared about each other. I thought Humboldt was one big county. You just said it out of your mouth. You're from Eureka. You're not part of this community. That's what how you crap right there, because I believe Humboldt is one big, huge community. And what is wrong with that?
No, you don't know what you're talking about.
You want a solution? You think of a way to fix it. You give them a place to go, and they won't crowd your street. They won't block your stores.
All right.
You give them a place to go. You give them a garbage. You give them a bathroom, which you guys have taken away.
Okay, all right. You see, you're doing it again. We're doing it again. We're going again. We're problem.
Wait a minute. If you want to bring these people here, maybe that will help.
We left with at the last meeting, Tracy Field, who is not here, passed around a list for a task force. We actually do need to break this into smaller groups. There need to be groups with representatives from each of the interests. And otherwise it's going to go on, because quite frankly, one thing that was said at the last meeting is true, is it's not going to go away by itself. It's not going to go away.
I just think that
Eric, what is it? I just need that clarified.
The conflict that we were trying to discuss and to resolve. Excuse me. If you need to talk, you want to talk outside. What we do need is we did come up with a number of solutions. We're not going to solve this problem. This is a problem of national, if not international measure. Garberville does not have the resources to deal with this on this level. What we can do is we can mitigate. Unless people have a vision of like the movie First Blood, where somebody gets beaten up and thrown out of town, the problems are not going to go away. We'll get to it. What we need, actually, more than even just ideas for solutions, is a process. We need a process.
Eric?
We're gonna do this a little bit differently. I'm gonna call up people. Well, let's talk about process. How is the best way to go about keeping the discussion alive?
Before you start, let me just say, the paper you got is still a paper that has some relevance to the meeting we had in the meeting. This paper is trying to divide it down into 8 issues. Now, these issues are basically, I think, like 4 issues, really, because you have a situation where one thing is talking about lack of respect, lack of safety, drugs and alcohol. That's one group that's about neighborhood watch and protecting our community and making it secure. So I think it should be one group dealing with that kind of security idea. There's also the trash and the feces things, which are either go together or they don't. I mean, that's probably together. And then there's a number of things about straining our resources, lack of public housing, panhandling, and this is the social service part. So I think we could actually have, at the most, four groups or 3 groups. The trash and feces go together, and you have a group that's interested truly in respecting the town, mutual respect around the town, and the other groups about how do we get resources, what don't we have as resources, why don't we have resources. See what I'm saying? Does that sound agreeable based on what we're trying to do? By thinking about what we did last week, we thought about what we did last time, and this is the result. So I'm hoping people will take the idea that there is some thinking going on here that's trying to get us into a group that's more focused on whatever. I don't care if you solve problems or not solving problems, but just getting together and talking about it.
All right. Jackie, you had some thoughts on process, right?
Yeah, it's a completely different form of meeting. It's been used since the mid-80s, and it's called Open Space Technology. And it was sort of created by this guy, Harrison Owen. And it's been used with universities, with corporations, with aircraft designers, with mental hospitals. It's a fascinating, different style of meeting. And it's not facilitated in the traditional fashion. You have your topic, get your 6-word topic. And in this case, to me, the homeless, transient, food, the whole thing, it's one thing. And all that list there that Paul was reading is all one thing. It's one huge issue. We all know that there are economic refugees that are going to be pouring to this area, and the coast not going to stop. But all of us have our areas of interest. So the way this meeting functions is you have your topic, and then you have your people.
All right. Well,
wait a minute. Let me just give you just another brief sort of rundown. You end up working by interest, tagging up meetings. People break into groups surrounding the issues that they're passionate for.
Jack was going to ask us, what would be the first step towards something?
The first step towards that would be to call together a group. I've already got the Teal Center to grant the space. And then to call together by invitation as many people as are interested, because there's no hierarchy in the structure. The CEO of a corporation would be on the same level as the janitor. The person on the street, the same level as the leader of the Chamber of Commerce or any business leader. And there's only one rule, really, and it's called the law of 2 feet. And that's if the group you are in, you are neither learning or participating with, it's your job to walk, because the quality of your experience is up to you. And personalities have a tendency to dominate and, control. They can go ahead and do that, and they will attract those people to them that appreciate their message. But your job, if you can't contribute, if you can't add to this process, is to use your feet and walk and find a place to work with.
So if somebody's interested in pursuing that, what should they do?
Go ahead and Google Open Space Technology, check out Harrison Owen. I have a treatment, and if facilitators want to group together, if a group of individuals that is interested in food, resources, and all these other issues are interested in this, we can form a group to evolve this meeting, and by invitation out to the community, bring everybody in on it. You end up working in small groups, and small groups seem to be far more productive. And it's where your passion and your heart is engaged, and you take responsibility, and you can really make it work. And you can make it work quickly. And the primary use of this meeting is when you're in crisis.
Even getting to the meeting, we can talk about formats, we can talk about how we want to conduct it, we can talk about what we want to discuss. The process is we need to have a process where we have a clear goal in mind. What is the goal? We need to
well, that's it. How we should break it into fragments.
To find solutions, that's great, but that's also very open-ended.
Start getting resources together.
All right, you have been very patient.
I'm not the world's smartest person. All I can do is quote somebody better than me. Somebody better than me said, but you must rid yourself of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, and all filthy language from your lips. Another person just as greater than me also said, if you have hatred towards your brother in your heart, you have sinned. Why do we all blame each other? Why don't we stand together and do something? Me and my friends came here offering a proposal. Stand next to me, I give you my word. Within months, you'll see real progress. Quit blaming people. Stand next to people that love this area. Sorry I don't have a job. I'm dying of cancer and I can't afford medicine. I can't buy a house. I do live in the woods. Ask John Casoli how my camp has ever looked. It's always been clean and it's found my home. I love this place. Why do we gotta threaten people? Why do we gotta argue? Why do we gotta say mean things? We all serve one God. We all serve one community. If we are honestly from Humboldt, we love Humboldt. Let's get the outsiders out. Leave everybody else gone and keep it nice. If people are messing things up, we ask them nicely to leave. It's not hard. People show up at their camp and say, you gotta go. They leave. We don't gotta threaten people. We all serve one God.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no. We can ask people to move just like you're asking us to move.
Before you go,
Just like we're all asking us to move, we can ask the bad people to move.
wait, okay, thank you very much.
It's a good one.
In the real world,
If you don't want us here, stop producing such an attractive product. Boom!
In the real
Oh, right.
In the real world, we know we have this problem. We know that if you were to move out of here, you're going to deal with poverty issues.
Stop growing weed if you don't want us here.
In the real world, and obviously you came here because you came to have some hope for a solution here. Do you have any ideas?
If what was said in the first part of this meeting about the people without addresses, whatever you want to call them, seriously policed their stuff and kept it clean, and that park didn't look like that, and we didn't have people who pulled into this town and went, oh crap, get some gas and get the hell out of here, because they don't want to shop in any of the shops because it's so filthy, because they don't want to walk down our streets because they're so filthy.
I'm gonna put a bathroom in.
You know what? How would you suggest we do this?
Take care.
That's what I'd like to do.
You know what, Deborah?
Stop!
Hold it, guys.
You asked
I'm asking because I'm late because it's coming.
Deborah paid for it. And you pay taxes or something to get it taken out. Dumb.
No, what happened was it was put there illegally, and no one is gonna use that nasty ass thing.
I used it for 4 years on a farm. What's your problem? You know what you want is you
Go
have
back to
that.
Arcado, okay? You
have
I'm going to make a point for that. You know what? I can walk into any business in just about any city I go into and use a bathroom. You know why? Because I don't look like a dirtbag. That's why.
Okay, wait.
Excuse me.
You're big.
No, you don't.
Okay, I've been protected family. I've been protected family.
All right, we need to break this discussion down. We need to get this down.
Eric, can I make my process point?
I would like to give an intelligent answer to what you asked, but when people are shrieking from the side, that's impossible to do. And you get pissed off and you say stuff like that. Now, I would ask you to say, but mouth over here,
We were talking about solutions. Can we keep it there instead of pointing fingers?
I was trying to keep it.
No, you weren't.
No,
You never pointed fingers.
All right, I'm gonna let, what we're gonna do now is we just try breaking this down. We need to, and Blake, we need you, don't we? I understand where you're coming from. But this is the key here, is if we lose this, we lose the discussion, and then it doesn't get solved. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be solved, but it doesn't get solved if we walk out.
Can we just stick to performing solutions? We've had a nice entrance into that, and we were talking about that, and then all of a sudden, it changed into something else again. Let's just stick to performing solutions.
All right. Yes. All right. I'm going to let a couple of other people have Estelle, and then you go ahead.
Well, I want to say that I was at the last meeting, and that the feeling at the last meeting was very different. And what I saw was that we had a community talking to each other, and it was a wonderful opportunity. And people who were passionate about the problem have come up here tonight and said things are getting better as a result of that meeting. Okay? What we have tonight is people who are interested in division, who are interested in pointing fingers, and that is not the solution.
That's not the solution.
Now, the next thing that happened at that meeting was that we saw what it was that was going wrong. And one of the things we've seen over the years with festivals, with whatever else, there's been people walking around the streets with backpacks, whatever. Today, it is very different, and it has been said by many.
Where there is joint business owners or resident and people without address activity in it. The question is, maybe there needs to be a formal or semi-formal structure with that. And that's, something that where we can look at it, because we know that we've had some success. Ms. Rose brought up that there has been some success. We also know that John brought in photos to show that in some respects it hasn't been a success. So a process in which a watch is constantly reevaluated for its success. This is working. This is not working. It's really the only way we can make it a little better. And I don't think it's always, it's going to be, I don't think we have to have in mind that there's a total solution, because there isn't. This is a world that is not perfect. But we can mitigate it. And right now, I think we need to work on the task force in terms of coming up with a structure in which we can at least begin to monitor and where the different groups come together with their representations and say, this is not that's just my thought.
Yes, what I'd like to touch on is the fact that in the years that I've been here, in the past, even though we've had the homeless, we haven't had the business owners complaining so much about them hanging out in front of the business and stuff. And that's because at Redway, we had the open field to sit in, get in the shade over there, get out of the sun, be able to sit down and relax. Over here, we had the park. But now you look over in Redway, it's all fenced in. You can go close to it, you're going to jail.
You understand that there's a mutual cycle here, and that's a response.
I understand it, but let me finish what I've observed. Okay, you guys shut down the park over here in Garberville, where people can't go sit over there anymore in congregate. So what do? They go sit on the sidewalks, because the sidewalk belongs to everybody. So they take and they sit there with their dogs and their weed and everything. And then I understand the business problems, business people's problems, because it's taking and chasing away their business. But yet, we gotta take a look at it from all points.
Yes.
It's not just one point, it's not just this point over here, it's from all points. Everybody needs a place to go, whether it's to the bathroom, to get cleaned up, just to get out of the sun and sit down and relax.
But how do we do this? How do we do this without having the place be trashed?
Okay, well, the thing is it's always going to get trashed, because it's always going to be trash cans out. Excuse me, everybody. Let me say this. Okay, there's always going to be trash around, because there's always going to be people that disrespect, whether they're homeless or whether they have a house or whether they work. Everybody takes it and does it. Excuse me, not everybody does, but every type of people do the same thing, but yet you get blamed on the homeless. All right. So I mean, where do you want this problem at? Out of the way, to where the tourists can come in and do their thing, and we can make the money and have a happy town here, or have all of us right there in the middle of town. So I mean, the only explanation would be is to take and find some place where the homeless can go, where they will not be harassed, where they have a safe place where they can clean up, go to the bathroom, rest, and relax.
Yeah, great. Unfortunately, I'm not dismissing it. Unfortunately, all sides of the solution run into the problem of the county. And that's, and that county, the county's not represented here tonight.
You're talking about money. It's money on humans, money in humans.
Yeah, but
let's
go ahead.
bring it to the county.
how much money is going towards these guys?
Okay, somebody's been, I've been promising her.
Okay, well, how much money is being wasted when these guys here are going to deal with somebody that's taking vehicle out? And when they could have been over here taking care of.
We'll get to those details, but I've been promising her a chance to speak.
Hello, everyone. I kind of mentioned a few things at the last meeting, and I noticed things has been changed and down a little bit. But we do have a big problem. When I did come in here 7 years ago, you didn't have a place to go and sit. There's no place to sit anywhere anymore. Even the people that come here and try to spend money in your community. I've been past week watching all these bicyclists go through town, and they have nowhere to put their bikes. They have nowhere to sit, to walk away from their bike, to spend money in your community. When I first came here, I was a traveler. I come here for your redwoods, to be part of the woods and the environment, and no smog, peace, no pollution. It's really beautiful, and you can get that back. You have 2 spots in town that you can split this all up. The empty lot up here, next to the video store. You can set that up for travelers coming through, to have a place to sit, park their bikes, even lock their bikes.
Someone else?
Yes, yes, you can have somebody.
Privately owned.
Right. So after all these meetings, letting everybody vent and give your solutions to your community, I think you should have a private meeting among the businesses and the owners to come up with a solution to solve their town's problem.
Yeah, but why is it up to them?
Because
I'm the same thing.
I also think
the reason it's up to
that
them.
we need to have their group and then.
Right, yeah.
Yes,
Consolidation.
that's exactly what needs to be done. Because there's a lot of tension in this room tonight. And the last meeting, there was a little tension, but it stopped because we was actually coming up with solutions instead of pointing fingers and attacking each other.
I think the proposal actually
Yes.
of a meeting of the business owners
Yes.
and a meeting of the people, the different ones separate, and then
Right.
coming up with joint, that is an
Yes,
excellent
and we
question.
can separate the 2 solutions.
And having
Park down here,
representatives of
you can put porta potties back in, to make people stand down in the park, not up on the hill.
All right, well,
You can make it to where you don't see the problem.
thank you.
Why can't we let the kids,
Well, yeah, I thought this was going to be more solution-based, and this sparring will never solve anything. But this is what I keep hearing. I got a couple things here. Self-regulation, and I believe that is the cheapest and most feasible way we can take. It isn't going to go, the problem isn't going to go away, and now, if the so-called problem, there needs to be a space, and it needs to be self-regulated. We don't want to pay somebody to take care of the thing. So the proof is in the pudding. Restrooms, we need restrooms. It'd be nice to have a couple set of restrooms in town. And I think this is a really good concept that he had. Watch these bicyclists. They're like, where do you go? They go to Bimbo, we tell them, go down to Bimbo. They're looking for a picnic table, some shade. These are real folks. They got Visa cards. They're out, riding bikes for the right thing. And there is no place to sit. Where's the chair on Main Street? There's the brick thing in front of the coffee shop.
Yeah. What about the town square?
There's a free
There's
parking
a town
lot.
square, but there's okay, what if you have to use the restroom, you're pulling on your bicycle, there's a bench. Oh, man, you've been riding since Eureka on 101. Is there a restroom from Eureka to here on 101 if you're on a bicycle and you don't use the street?
What if you just?
Actually, yes, there is.
These
are
are-
the park.
You can take the thing, but the point is that. Just a second.
We know, but I think it works both ways.
Well, here's the thing, we can have a couple restrooms. Honest to God, if we want people to come here and feel good, I mean, there's lots of things you do to a town to make it comfortable for everybody. What makes one person comfortable is going to make the other person comfortable. We're just folks. Okay, so there's self-regulation, there's that. And I like what Estelle said, okay, we can all talk about what we think respect is. Can we come up with a couple really nice signs strategically placed in this town of what we expect from people? I mean, what do we? That should be a meeting about, rather than pointing fingers, what do we expect from each other in town? What do we want to see when we go to town? It's the same behavior. Everybody has the same behavior, and everybody has the same expectations. I think posting them, so we're not like, hey, you know how we act around here. I think that's the real deal. How do we expect them to treat it and treat other people? And, you know, an enamel sign, that's a couple $100 for a nice one, but, you know, let's post the rules and then let's move forward. And now, Bob said something about this hobo thing, and this is a real deal. When my grandpa and grandma were raising the family, there were lots of hobos out and around, right? And we're going to see that same thing, I'm afraid. You actually, if you wanted help chopping wood, if you needed leaves raked, if you needed something done, they had alleys in our town. You stuck a red bandana on your gate, and a person that needed food would come up and say, I saw the bandana, what can I do? And that's pretty damn simple. And if we don't try some of this stuff, then we're not really looking for a solution.
That's all right. I agree.
I just want to make a comment. There is prejudice, but it works all ways. I come from kind of the flower child kind of milieu, and we have our prejudices. We have our own bigotries.
Realize that when we're talking with each other, to keep that in the forefront so that we can start ganging up on each other.
But we make our judgments. We make our judgments about what people need, how they act.
But this is civil rights. We're talking about human and civil rights here. It has nothing to do with whether you like the person or not.
I agree.
Whether you like the way they dress or the job that they do or the words that they speak even.
Okay.
If somebody uses curse words and you're not educated or self-controlled enough to understand that, then you've got the problem. You can't get past people being passionate and cursing. Then you're immature.
Bob, and then that's how you're
I agree.
I want to go back to the process because, you know, we're going to get off on it again and try to come up with solutions. But I like the idea of next meeting, it could be another week. Next meeting to start the meeting by getting into caucus groups, not subgroups where you have each faction represented in each group, but caucus groups where people can feel strongly about the problem is crapping on the doorsteps and that kind of stuff, and that's got to stop. And they get in one group. Folks who are in the homeless population, who are still hanging around here, means you're willing to do something and you're interested. They get in another group and they elect representatives. 2 or 3 people that place is going to be effective, not to be the loudest, but who's going to be effective, and then form your working group from that, you know, and then something will get done.
I think so too, but in between the meeting, I do think it's really important. I mean, something has already happened with the roads. That was the bright spot of tonight's meeting. Something already happened there. So I don't want this to sound like I'm talking at a particular group, because I actually think that something also has to happen with the business owners. There actually needs to be business owners who get together and talk about how to do this without being in fear of being in a conflict right tonight. And then there needs to be formal organization in various interest groups or whatever we want to call them. And then they need to send delegates. I think that's the only way we're going to do this, because there can be a moderate, and it'll probably fail at times, and then we can probably pull it back together. And you can say, look, what was what happened outside my store? And then the group can respond as a whole. I think that's a process we've got to get going, momentum. I'm sure it's happened in other communities. And if other communities can do it, we can do it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let's start out by having a little porta potty. And place porta potties strategically here and there, one side of town, the other, a couple.
start out by doing that at least, and then possibly lead into everybody doing a fundraiser and putting up a metal shelter with a couple picnic tables somewhere that's land that's donated, or the vets park over here, or something we got to do now.
You're right. I mean, it sounds easy to say, okay, let's just put a porta potty down there. It's got to be maintained. It's got to be.
I mean, I'm willing to help maintain.
Right. All right.
That's the first.
Harry, that's not an amplifier.
I know.
And we need a timekeeper, excuse me, I think we need another timekeeper.
Yeah, we lost John.
Okay.
We definitely need a timekeeper.
I'm just curious what people think about our kids, and if it's okay for them to use the public bathroom.
How many minutes are we doing?
Why don't we just, we've been doing 3, we're up to 3, I think we're gonna,
Sorry. Start that after Harry.
Alright, my name's Harry Jasper, and I've lived here in Garberville for almost 3 years now. And I work as a hospital administrator. I know I'm not always the most popular guy myself, but on this issue, I personally don't feel I've heard a great solution on any really good solution from either side of the aisle, very similar to, I don't think I've heard a great solution on either side of the aisle of healthcare reform as well. But I was asked by someone in the community who's very passionate about putting porta potties in, getting a public restroom in. Prior to going to the chamber meeting, he asked me, what's some advice you might give me? And I said, in my opinion, the most effective thing you can do when you're going to another group who has a different position than you is to really seek to understand that other side's perspective. And not until the other side feels heard and understood will they be open to listen and to hear your side perspective. And I think, I'm not telling you this would work or not, but I think if you did break into who's really on the right, and who's really on the left, or who's really up and who's down on this issue, and then you ask them to truly draft some type of statement that says, this is how, if we were you, this is how we believe you feel about the lack of porta potties. And if we were you, business owners, this is how we think you might feel about having, the homeless issue and the trash that's done. But not until someone, the most basic human need is the need to feel understood. And I think we've really, I hear a lot of people feeling not understood here. And the other thing is, I think you need to start with some real ground rules about what are the rules that most people would agree on for respect and what listening or speaking. So
we're getting to 3 minutes, but before we go to the bill, I want to actually, if you can, well, I can engage you there anyways, but I mean, you raised a good point. And one of the things we did want to accomplish with these meetings was to let people vent to a certain degree. Not to get personal, but to really get out and be heard. And of course, in the court, everybody got their voice up. That doesn't mean you're being heard, just because you're allowed to speak. And so we do need to come up with a process for that. I do think to a certain degree people are heard, but we're getting into a cycle and a process where we fall back into the same pattern because there are real strong feelings from this. And believe, from my perspective, I do think that everybody has a real good point. It is a civil rights issue. People's rights have been violated, and yes, it is a basic business issue because it is, people do not want to come to Garberville. I understand what you're saying, people driving off the highway, the first thing they see. is the cluster group on there. And that doesn't make these things mutually exclusive, and we do have to find a way to do that. But I also want to comment that where we made progress tonight was that some progress had been made. And if we could incrementally make a little bit of progress on the ground, then a little bit communicating, then a little more progress on the ground, then a little bit, that is how things get done. That's how countries get out of wars and stay out of wars.
I don't envy the position you have to facilitate this, but there is a big difference between feeling that you were heard and feeling understood. And
yeah, I suspect that there's a lot of you people here, because I know a lot of you on both sides of this issue, that feel kind of the way I am. It isn't an either or to me. I totally believe in the civil liberties and in the humanitarian aspects of the human being, in all aspects, with compassion and care for them. I totally am on that side. And I totally believe that a lot of people are having definite, real problems here with the whole situation and everything. I totally believe in both of those issues. And I totally know that there's intelligent people in the left side and in the right side, if you're going to call them that, but intelligent people that understand that you cannot put anger into the situation and expect to get positive out of it. If you want to get positive out of it, you've got to put compassion into it. You've got to go into it with a warm heart and thought and share with each other here and stuff. And it's like, we aren't one side or the other. Most of us, I think, here understand both sides of all this. So it's like we just have to come to that to deal with it together.
So here's where I differ in that I am angry, and there's a lot of people who are angry, and I don't think that and typically in movements, when we talk about movements, when we're against the war, we talk about that sometimes. But what I think the framing, I wanted to talk about the framing of how this is being talked about, and also a little bit about facilitation, which I appreciate that they are doing it. But the first thing is the framing is that people are talking about it as being like, well, this is my issue and this is how I feel about it, when it's actually about power and resources. And that's why when somebody has the power to say, we can't afford to put a bathroom in for you, that is very different than somebody saying, I have to go, like that, and not having a place. And so everybody can be as nice as they want, but there's people in here that have more power and more resources. And instead of talking about it as like, well, these people on this side that feel this way, these people on this side, that's not what it is. There's people who have resources and power to keep things a certain way, to keep the cops on certain people's butts. Let me just leave the thought here. And there's people who don't. And so there's going to be people who are angry because tonight they're going to deal with the other end of that power. Everybody else can go back and they're going to say, well, that was a good conversation. I have something else. The other thing I wanted to say was that I noticed, I don't remember his name, but I was harassed. I came through town. We were going Richardson Grove and we bought some food and we came out and put ourselves in the vehicle, and we had some mechanic guy come out and yell at us, and we thought we were going to help him. Anyway, that guy in his van was sitting there. The guy who was speaking, the vet that was speaking right there, he was gentle, he wasn't angry, he was saying there's something very simple. And my issue I just want to bring up on facilitation is that I believe, and then the young woman who spoke over here, blonde, who said she came here for the redwoods, which is rare down here to hear. You had a response that negated, and it sounded just like this guy. We can't really do that. Like, it negated their ideas about letting people be somewhere, but then, and so I felt like there was like a bias when people were, and it was solution-based and all that stuff, and there's this automatic, there's these rules. We can't actually do these things for people. So we can just keep arguing about it, and the people with the power can keep the power.
I put the link on the slide before I will get to you in just a minute. I'm somebody who's been politically active. I agree that agitation is absolutely essential in situations, but there has to be a follow-through. Once you've been heard, there has to be follow-through. Again, we're talking real world. What would you like to see that addresses the business? Because you do agree that businesses have to make money, that they have families that they're trying to raise, that they really just want to operate the businesses. Yeah, not in the best of all worlds, because in the best of all worlds, we've got a lot of solutions that have to be dealt with beyond the community level. For the resources that we have here and now, what is your best?
Okay, do take care of immediate fires right now. We understand it's a human right for there to be a place for somebody to go to the bathroom. I can hear people say that they don't want to pay for it and all that stuff, but we had somebody who works her butt off on the street who paid for a porta potty, and the same people that said we don't want to pay for it wanted it gone. You take care of things right now. You take care of tonight. People aren't going to get harassed where they're sleeping. Then you start talking about, and you can't regulate manners. So if people are so weirded out by saying, excuse me, can I walk by, then there's really something wrong in Southern Humboldt. But it's not with the people that, and so you're asking what can people do now? I mean, the problem is the lack of bathroom. The problem is not that people are defecating, because everybody does it. The problem is the lack of bathroom, so that's the solution. We have to fill that need.
So what is the solution right now?
And the other thing I'm responding to your question, the other thing I've seen in another town, when the business people decide, just like the man said, I don't know his name, but it's like, if you don't want people on your sidewalk, and it's a small town, and there's these fields, and then you enclose them, I use that word intentionally, then you're going to have people right there. So these towns, Arcata, which I don't live in, but it used to be just like this area. Colorful, people liked it for its hippies, right? And now it's like this cutthroat, nasty thing. And so instead of biking through town being like, cool, look at all the hippies in Northern California, they're like seeing the cops there.
Well, we have the solution now. We have the solutions right now. We have Blake, whose wife had coffee thrown at her, salt batteries. Right into the, I'm just saying. And
Why brush that off?
we had a 6-year-old girl who was apparently terrified last week due to it. What do we do about it? I'm not condemning, I'm just saying.
Solution. I pulled in across the street from Ray's with my friends, and we had this guy, we thought he was hollering out his truck because his truck was falling apart. We were going to start helping him, and he verbally abused us. So the reason I blow it off is because, hang on, the reason I don't blow it off, but anecdotal,
listen to this
somebody's an asshole one day does not, you can't prejudice the whole thing. Just because I have lots of housed people do fucked up things to me.
This is
Alright.
in your face in front of me.
I'm sorry.
I'm not defending
I'm going to move on. You've been very patient. Go ahead.
In terms of solutions, I know I was involved with, I know there are a lot of people in this community that have done better and done things on their own. I know a couple of people here in this room who a couple of years ago got together with private resources and a local business owner in Redway who has space available allowed us to bring it out. So we put about 15 cots in there during the winter time so people could sleep inside. So that has happened. And my group is still working on that. I know a woman in Phillipsville who has a place that she goes out of her way to house people in her spot. So there are people in this community already, probably not even here, who are actually being part of the solution. I know the bed, if I can just point around over there, last year, along with Governor Carey, just as any business would, talking about having a porta potty here, how much would it cost? That issue has been brought up. Let's find out how much it costs. And because I know Six Rivers was willing to, how much? Go ahead, say it.
It's right around $150 a month.
$150 a month.
With the wash station, with the.
Okay, and that's Six Rivers, that's a local company.
That doesn't cover maintenance, right?
Yeah.
Does
Yeah, they come,
Okay.
they come once a
We
month.
have that solution already. We already know the amount. We can fundraise in this community to pay for that. Okay? That can happen. There are housing, if anyone's following the general plan update, is a big issue in the county. My two solutions, it's only my own idea, is if there is one huge ass, excuse my language, hotel in Redway that is has a sign up for sale since I've been here, and I've heard longer. We can fundraise and buy that, and it's a 70-unit thing already there that we can run and maintain. Maybe even use it as a possible way of training people to work in the hotel restaurant business. I don't know anyone from Southern Humboldt working together, but that's a nonprofit group that maybe could support something like that. Also, I know that I don't know what's happened recently. But the state park that we have down there in Bembo. Okay, I don't know what the state said when they defunded it, that if a local county or a nonprofit group took it over, they would be able to process that, so to keep it open and have a spot for people to be outside and maintain that. So the solutions are there already in our faces. And exactly. And there are groups that are already organized to be a part of the solution.
Okay, all right. I think somebody over here, I pointed you first.
Me?
It must be, somebody raised your hand over the instruction. Okay.
Spark Solutions, I live in the.
All right, well then it was the woman in the back there, she's been raising her hand for a while. I'm sorry, no, it was Ma'am, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Chairman.
We have time constraints, or what is it? Oh, sorry, this is
Well, I didn't even get to start yet, and I'm already getting interrupted. Your guys' problem has nothing to do with toilets. It's the fact that you have no respect for each other at all.
Yeah.
No one has been able to speak 3 minutes this whole meeting without getting interrupted. You guys should be kicking people out if they interrupt people during their conversation. Then maybe they'll think about it next time before they interrupt somebody and fucking have a peaceful way to talk to people next time they come to the meeting, and you would come to a solution rather than bickering back and forth like kindergartners. Oh, he stole my toy, he crapped on my fucking staff. Big deal, dude. Alright, think about it, come up with solutions and exercise them, don't argue.
Okay, speaking of speaking, I've been listening to everybody, and I've lived in this community for several years. I do not live here. I live in northern Humboldt right now, but I do come around, and a lot of this is about everyone's own perceptions, I realize, because I come through town, and it looks great to me. I mean, I drive through, I don't see trash and mess, but I do agree that there are issues. But I'm curious, I've heard Blake speak a lot about the problems. What are your solutions? What are the solutions that you have?
I've given some of my solutions, that people show respect for each other, that people clean up after themselves, that people don't trash other people's and public property, that people care about each other and the environment around them. I mean, you go above Redway, where I used to play when I was a little kid. A couple of Christmases ago, I tried to take my kids walking up there. There's hypodermic needles, there's garbage, there's stuff absolutely everywhere. There is no way I would let my child play up there now. This is a place where not all that long ago, we ran around and climbed trees and had a blast. We had our whole heyday there. It's absolutely disgusting. Another issue that people are not paying attention to is that we've got a disease factor. But you asked for solutions, you're right. I think this guy just hit it on the head. We have to have respect for each other. We have to have respect for other people's things. We have to have respect for the community at large. When saying, excuse me, to walk by on the sidewalk, that doesn't make, I mean, if somebody's standing there, of course you say, excuse me. But when there's 5 people and 4 pit bulls, you shouldn't have to say, excuse me. They should know to sit on the curb. Sidewalks are for walking. They're not for sitting. They're for transportation purposes. They're to get from one point to another.
One thing that's come up is you know, if something is happening, that we talked about the self-policing, there probably also needs to be a means to contact the group that's working on it. A means to do that. And the problem is that people who are without addresses are probably also mostly without cell phones. Maybe not everybody, but there needs to be, there needs to be a way to do it. Now, for instance, if Blake has a bunch of crap or whatever dumped in his bag, if there was somebody he could call and say, you know, I've got this, got this issue here, and they showed up to clean up. I mean, that would go a long way. That would go a long way.
But the problem is, we shouldn't have to call and have
We know, but we gotta start somewhere.
Gotta start somewhere.
Right, there are garbage cans. There aren't
enough dumpsters around. There aren't enough
We have
dumpsters.
to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere.
There isn't.
Okay, somebody over here, and then over there back here, and then Andy, sorry.
This is a little informational as well as history too. Some of you guys might remind me of the front page last year when I protested the town square. I'd like to remind you guys that one of your own resources is private property. So when you're donating to those cans, or you can't stay there for an hour, you can't smoke, you can't drink, you can't have dogs, that's because it's private property. So as a community, you should pressure him, John Schmidt, and that board. Last year, we were in the paper, we lost him 80 grand, and the issue was bathrooms. I still stand out there every Friday under the clock when I can. And my sign pointed right at the road where everybody comes walking out and says, you need a bathroom, and it's got John Schmidt's home number on it. It's in the paper, it's in the book, it's public record. Here's some more history. The Mateo Community Center, everybody's savior, and they're feeding everybody. Well, they're trying their best to completely disengage themselves from the Mateo Mill program.
That's baloney, I
The
would
poor
hear.
people,
Baloney.
this is
Well,
democracy.
let's just let
They are trying to disengage themselves from anything. They've been reaching out to the clergy, they've been trying to find new locations so we can serve people. Now, here's history again. Remember last year, Joy the Sandwich Lady? How many times did she get kicked through Redway? 84-year-old lady serving sandwiches. These are the members of the business that you're all saying we need somebody to do something, and they have. They put up fences and they kick us. That's history here. Stuff we've already started addressing, and the people with the power put up a fence, it's private property, and the ones that have a community center are shutting the door. Because they're more interested in commerce. That's where you need to put your pressure on the Mateo board and this town square.
All right, well, we've got,
May I speak to you, Sheriff Downey? One of the things that I see as a problem is the meth that's through the community, and it's a real problem. Other people may not see it the same way, but I see it as a real contributing problem to the behavior that is frustrating people. And I have this thought that, it's hard to prosecute people, and I get that, but if you guys would just arrest, we can all see who the dealers are. And if they're arrested every time they're spotted doing their thing, then you guys confiscate their goods, and even if the DA can't successfully prosecute, it puts an interruption in the supply chain. And then the behavior gets better, the dealers will tend to move somewhere else. And everybody has a right to be who they are, but that's a particularly egregious problem. It just breeds toxicity in the behavior and the mindset of the community. And that's just something that I see that would be super helpful, is if when you guys see them, you just book them and get them out of here for a minute and confiscate their goods. Yes.
and then I'll get you, and then back there.
I came here tonight with a solution I learned about just this morning. I saw a video that USA Today put together 2 years ago about how they deal with it in a city in Florida. And they have a camp. And as you look at the video, and I recommend you check it out. This USA Today, I think it's called New Homeless. And they all have Coleman tents, and they're all numbered. They have shower, they have bathroom facilities. They even have computer rooms set up for people because their attitude about the situation there, and it's a different demographic than here, but there they recognize that the homeless problem for them is mostly people who've lost their homes, lost their jobs, etc. Now, what I see happening here is we've got a fundamental paradigm split. If you have two groups that come together and they say, we want to make a building in town, but one group says we want a hospital, and another group says we want a school, you're not going to make your building. Okay, and what I see here, especially last week, or last meeting, was people who were overgeneralizing about a group of people. And if you just go back and look at the video, and every time you hear homeless, you put in the word black, Jew, Muslim,
you'll be able to recognize that there is a certain, it's a hatred.
Yes.
And what I saw was, last week, people talking about people who smoke marijuana in public, people who drink in public, people who do drugs, and then they take all of that and blanket it over the homeless. And then you've got people who work with the homeless, or, you know, a lot of business owners have befriended them and have relationships with them, and they have a different perspective. I don't see how we're going to come together to deal with solutions like this camp if people really don't want those people to be here in the first place. So I think what we need to do is we really have to address this aspect. How are we looking at these people? Because if we're looking at them very differently, you know, it's a good effort on all of our parts to come here with the intent of working with the other side, but it's not really going to come up with a solution. And that's why I want to be here. I want to come up with solutions. And other things to recognize, there are much bigger forces here. I mean, a lot of the problems are because we don't have national health care. Okay? Because we don't have full employment. Okay? Because we don't treat our veterans well. And we don't take care of our mentally ill. So we have to play with all of those things here. And so I'm sympathetic with everybody's suffering. I'm not trying to blame anybody. But I hope people will just recognize that as long as we have this divergence in attitudes, we're not going to really come up with a solution.
I've been homeless in Yellow County for more than 15 years. Right? I lost my place and I'm back up here again. I don't think you guys say Western. And I want to change numbers. Wow, that shouldn't be happening. Yes, I don't want to rebuild jobs. Well, so it's further along. Everyone's talking, there's no action. Why don't we go back to the older days before we even had money? Go back to bartering. Think about that. You need a service? Okay. I'll give you what I need. You have what you need. Everyone's happy.
Let's start.
It was like that 6 years ago.
You guys also talked about, you saying about fixing the hotel, whatever happened to rebuilding the economy by just paying someone to pick up, you know, a handful of trash, 25% hand of trash. No.
Okay, you're Sheree, and then we'll get to you. Then I think it was Andy, and then over there.
Hi, I'm Kathy, and I work at the Midfield Center. And I just wanted to say I'm really, really happy that even though there's differences and people are saying, oh, you're just talking and we're not getting anything done, this is the beginning of it. And I think it's a really great thing that this many people showed up and that this many people care from whatever your point of view is. I also want to just say one thing about the Mateel. It's not at all that we're trying to disengage from our Mateel meal service, but it is becoming a little overwhelming, and so we have to spread it around a little bit, and we're looking for solutions to that. And we're just beginning to try to figure that out. And Jackie's on the board, and she's just been incredible in the energy she's put into that. And so to say that we're disengaging when we're feeding, you know, people 3 times a week, and we're working and we're doing it, you know, one of our staff members has gotten assaulted twice. A few of us have felt threatened. And we know that, you know, everybody is different. Every homeless person is different. Every business person. But, you know, we have to look at the reality of the situation, and it's a little much for just one place to do all of it. And so I'm glad to see that there's other people that care, and other business people and other churches that care, because we do have to kind of spread it out now. And that way you'll all be part of the community, we'll all be part of you. and we'll all work on this together, so that's all I have to say.
When I went to National Conference on Homelessness, the number one thing that they said was the more stability someone has in their life, the greater the chance of cycling out of homelessness. And stability comes when you're not viewed as a transient. Everybody is trying to push to somewhere else. And people who grew up here, their safety net is here. They are here, if you've been here for a while, you're here because you feel safe in spite of everything that's going on. When I sat on the Housing Element Committee for Humboldt County, it was back in the early 90s, and we wrote into the language nomadic campgrounds because the homeless task force. Bonnie McGregor wrote, she got a community development block grant, and she looked at Dean Creek, realistically, wrote it, submitted to the county, they approved, but of course the funding to take it the next step to make it reality never happened. Of course her position was eliminated. But the point is a lot of work has been done for decades.
Yeah.
I worked on emergency shelter. I hate working on emergency shelter. It's not the solution. Working on affordable housing is what we need to do a little bit more. But then again, November's right around the corner. This is emergency shelter season. Truthfully, most people who are homeless, a lot of them have a little bit of money, but not enough to get in housing. So if we were to look at a spot for emergency housing, like we've used this Vets Hall, we've used other sites, and do it on a sliding scale, those who can afford to pay, it would solve a lot of your homeless problem, it would solve a lot of your defecation problem, it would solve a lot of the other problems that happen. That's, again, a Band-Aid. What the county asks communities to do is to go back to the community, and you as a community identify where those sites are for affordable high-density housing. We still need to do that. Every time the county writes it, your staff writes it in the plan, people stand up and complain, they go to that site. So there's no inventory. So we as a community need to say where.
Thank you. There was a statistic that somebody gave me, and I don't know if it's accurate, that nearly half of the homeless in Humboldt County are homegrown from here.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, that is
There's
an
no
interesting
jobs.
point. Okay, we were at
Eric, can I comment on that?
Sure, real quickly.
I engage the people that I see on the street all the time, especially when I find them back behind my office, and I ask them, where are they from? Very few of them say locally. I get different states from all over the place. So they've hitchhiked here looking for something that we couldn't provide.
Possibly. That's, you're in the downtown too. That's not necessarily the extent of the homeless problem. Okay, good. And then somebody, all right, go ahead, come on.
I'll just speak from here.
Okay.
In regards to an immediate solution, which may not be long-term but temporary, there's a Greyhound bus stop. I heard on KMUD this morning that they're suggesting that they need more people in Occupy Oakland to be a part of their camp and be a part of their movement, because, and you can also take the bus the other way and go north and occupy Humboldt and set up a tent. Sorry, well, no, but occupy Humboldt and occupy, there's numerous ones. But you can set up a tent, I've heard, on the courthouse lawn, and they haven't been kicking anyone out. And the bigger problem here is, I'm sure pretty much everyone agrees, there's a lot of social injustice and economic injustice all over the world. And there's no municipality in Garberville, which, whatever side you're saying, you can't tell the business owners they have to pay the money to do something, and you can't have people saying everyone needs something. But there's big movements going on, and those movements need support, and they should go either way. Go south, and people will chip in and buy some friggin' bus tickets, or go north, because it's not Garberville's problem. This town doesn't have a mayor and its own budget that it can allocate money for. It's a county thing. So I'm just suggesting a bigger
It
thing.
came up in the last meeting that San Francisco used to have a program, and it's that people, if they wanted to, could get a ticket home. Sure. And a lot of runaways took advantage of it.
Just a community is somewhat like a bank or a credit union. and you can't just go and make a withdrawal. You need to make a deposit and be a beneficial, supportive part of it, and do something good in order to get something back. You can't just walk up and say, give me, without it coming from somewhere. It doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from someone's back and someone's shoulder. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Shit does not come out of thin air. Does it not? Does it not?
And it doesn't come on sidewalks out of thin air either. If there's a bathroom.
Hey, I agree with the bathrooms, and I would like to say, wait, hold on, let me finish. I'm a cyclist, and I bike around town, and I agree, some not porta potties, actual bathrooms, maybe the ones that they do have in the city, which they cost $1 to use, but they're self-cleaning, self-maintained, would be good. Like I said, I cycle around town, I'm on the highway, we certainly need more bathrooms, but either way, it's a bigger problem than garbage.
I just wanted to add something to what he said. The county does have a program if people do want to get transportation out of their home or even to Eureka for services. There is a program in place which has been provided. Information has been provided to me. The people in the area, most have not chosen to take.
If they have a job and a place to go to on the other end, right? Yeah, they have to have a place they're going to on the other end.
Not necessarily.
I know that program.
And then if we have people saying no, or being denied, we can make an issue.
Got a question about that? Mike? Mike?
The history of chasing people out or having them go somewhere else is not a very good history. If I take a look at it, the human history of that is more misery than anything. I'm talking to anybody who thinks that chasing people out. At any rate, let's not go that fast, okay? My partner just got back from Santa Barbara, and every town she went to, the newspapers had this very same problem. So chasing people away is not the solution. Not the solution at all. And this problem is a national problem, and part of it is because of the way we conduct ourselves economically. This is going to constantly go on until we change our economics. Our economics produces homelessness.
Okay, I've got a couple solutions, like things that bother me and everybody. I think, seeing syringes. I noticed that the health department, there's a little advertisement that you could get a box for syringes and you can place them places, and that's, that way they're not in the parks, somewhere, people can do something with it. The trash cans are full at night. There needs to be more, or there needs to be a better recycling program to put less trash in those receptacles. I know I read a really good article, or a really good radio show about LA doing recycling program, using the children and teaching all the children at home how to, separate everything. And what do you know, when they introduced the program, it worked. For the first time in the history of recycling programs, it actually worked. And the results are huge. So, there are solutions. If people are going to be camping on the rivers, let's come up with a solution of these are the behavior things. This is what we don't want to see. This is what this is what is expected, and let's put big placards in the ground and put some trash bags there at every entrance of all of the major camping areas, and that way, when someone is coming in late at night from out of the area and they don't know the ways that we expect, people to live around here, then there it is. It's in front of them, and they can take a bag and they can clean up their campsites, and these are solutions. And it's like, restrooms. Of course, we need restrooms. Let's put one in somewhere. I have construction history. I'll work for free building a restroom if someone wants to donate the space, or figure out a space, and I know there's other people that will do it too. Let's get the resources together, put the people are bringing home, loads and loads of wood right now, everyone's building and building. Let's build something for all of us, it's,
Yay!
The young woman next to you wanted to speak. Do you still want to speak?
Maybe in a moment.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Actually, I think you were first.
I don't understand why every town that has a Kiwanis, Alliance, or Optimists, Masons, churches, why every town can't have its own shelter that provides showers and meals. That when you're traveling, or whatever, I've been homeless before, it could happen to anyone, and I don't know, I think that why every community, that we should,
Every time.
have a regular shelter. I know, like in India, they say, like along the highways and whatever, but there's always these places where people can stop and be nurtured or whatever,
Campground.
Yeah. That every town could have a shelter. That way everybody wouldn't come to one place where there's, that way there's food in every town, or, I don't know.
A well-established campground that's maintained has been, the plans for that have been in this county, like Sheridan talked about since the 90s. I was on that committee with her. We have a beautiful plan in this county for a campground. It's been designed, everything is there, we can put it in. All we need is the okay from people to let us do it. It's not been tried. Not been tried.
Where do you guys want it?
There's plenty of public land.
Okay, but you have like one in mind, a particular place in mind?
There are a lot of them. There's a map, actually. The county has a map of areas that would be suitable. We did all the research on it.
It might, just as a suggestion, might help to start with one. If that one is acceptable, propose another one rather than just in general. I'm just making a suggestion.
Yes, well, I'm saying this is a solution that has been already put in place, except for the plan.
Thank you. All right, back there, then Felix, and then somebody else. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, I want your number, campground. As far as toilets and the porta potty, I'm just thinking compost toilets that you don't have to deal with the chemicals. In Arizona, they have state parks where they have these big, deep holes that are lined with cement, and it's not gross because it's big enough. Nobody has to clean it because it just composts. So you don't have blue, creepy water to deal with, and porta potties are creepy. So, and they're not creepy, and millions of people go in some of these state parks. So there's designs for that. I'd be totally down. I will help with that. The campground thing, totally. I'm so down with that. People have to go, and we have to let go of the thing that it's going to bring more homeless. It's like in New York City, Manhattan, these beautiful homes, unbelievable, my friends live in these really expensive places, and everything smells like pig. They spend thousands of dollars because people are going to go. They're going to go, and if they don't have a place to go, in a town you can't dig a hole. In the woods you can, but when you're in town, and as a woman, I just have to say we have emergencies, and the boys don't understand you're too young. We need a bathroom fast, okay? I don't have time to buy coffee. I'm leaking, okay? I'm sorry if that's gross, but that's real. And this is just, we need the bathrooms.
Yes.
And the compost thing, I think, is good.
Felix.
I'm going to be really brief and speak really quickly for once. There were many, many porta potties available for the workers when there was money to be made from it.
Right in town.
Whomever said that we should take over Benbow, as nonprofits could take over Benbow, if they closed that park, we should do it. And lastly, very minor portion of the solution, could the social services turn away anyone who wanted to use the bathroom?
No.
Why don't we just direct people to the social services? It won't give them a shower, won't give them a place to work, but I do think we have an active public bathroom.
So 5 or something.
But yeah, they have office hours.
I don't know. Good question. Okay, somebody back, did you want to speak?
Sure.
How about Paula?
Oh, yeah.
A couple of months back, we started serving a meal in town every week to feed people, something separate from the meal, and from whatever like previous politics existed in town and whatever folks' sentiments were, we were banned from using this kitchen here anymore because they didn't want us serving food in the Mullen Memorial Park. So there's a lot that has to be worked on in the community of changing our like classist mindset where people somehow have it in their head that if you're helping someone, you're screwing me over somehow. Like, it's complete nonsense. And the way that our society is built is completely dysfunctional. If we're gonna build a toilet, we totally should be building a composting toilet, not turning back to this strange mentality where we're shitting in our precious water, where we're relying on some industrial system that is causing more damage than it'll ever do any good.
So we're getting close there. We're past our closing time. What I want to say is I'm the dog and mechanism that calls these meetings, and I'm not giving up. I love what happened today. You can't scare me. I can't be scared. So roar on, wonderful Humboldt. You know, it's Southern Humboldt. So what I'm thinking is this: these Fridays are open to us because nobody has events hall on Fridays, so we can always get them from 6 to 8. On the 4th, which is November 4th, is a Friday, I believe. We should have a meeting for people who want to prepare for the next meeting, which will be the 18th. So people get together on the 4th. We talk about how we can do something. What can we do for the 18th meeting? We have the 18th meeting. We have a consensus by people who came to an earlier meeting, so we have a nice regular meeting that people can have confidence in again. We just start again to have our meetings, and we don't give up the ship. So that's what's going to happen. You can't stop me from doing it. You can do other meetings if you want to, but I'm going to publicize this one, and that's what's going to be what's going to happen. So
I would hope that the different groups start pulling out, maybe I guess I'm trying to do it on the business end. But we do need to get the smaller groups. I think it's important to have the bigger groups. Yeah, we're not talking to each other. But we definitely need to have the smaller groups meeting. Something happened that we don't want to lose with Feather Rose. That went outside of it. Something happened that was a positive development.
Yes.
We need to expand on it. And so maybe if we can expand on it here in Garberville, a full system, but somebody needs to step up and organize it. And we don't have the mayor of Redway anymore, but we do have some other candidates, who can do it on that side. We need business people to be able to interface with that group. And we need, so there needs to be a working group in those things. It's actually more than two sides to this, too. It's not even one or two. It's a multifaceted issue, and there's a lot at stake here, and a couple of the major players are not here. I mean, that's the county, the state, and the federal government, and whatever. But ultimately, if there's a solution. So I would encourage it to continue. I'm sorry I lost it halfway through the meeting. It was that was a major mistake on my part. I will talk to Deborah Carey when she's around. I will apologize to her. Although I really did think the ancient comment was way out of line. And that's not going to be, I understand, but I think that would have shut everybody down. There was no culprit. But it wasn't the first comment that was made. It was escalating. It was escalating to the point. That reached a crescendo. It began and it came from all sides.
Yes.
So it was there. Yes.
How come it was cut off one of the most powerful people went to go talk to talk? Why was it cut off then? Yeah, because she was told to stop talking because she was told the meeting was ended. Because she couldn't handle what she said.
Well, that was my fault, but when she said eat shit, I saw red.
Yeah, we gotta get past that. We gotta get past that.